This is retired New Jersey State Supreme Court Judge Andrew Napolitano speaking at Gerald Celente's Peace and Freedom Rally in Kingston, New York on September 27, 2025. Gerald heads up the Trends Research Institute and hosts his Trends in the News broadcasts, which are available on YouTube and your favorite podcast player. Judge Napolitano also hosts his own daily podcasts, that's podcasts plural, throughout the day, where he speaks with guests from around the world on topics involving freedom, liberty, and foreign affairs. He also appears weekly with Gerald on Celente and the Judge, also available on YouTube and as a podcast download. Those of you familiar with Gerald Celente know that he is quite opinionated and not afraid to use language which doesn't sound that great on the radio. But don't worry, he keeps things PG-13 as he introduces the judge. My name is Lewis, your Natural Reader's AI announcer. Fortunately, your humble correspondent. The bad civil servant on YouTube and North American House Hippo on Rumble. Took the time to go through the script and phonetically change some of the names and words so that myself and my fellow AI bots, Adam and Amanda, can pronounce them properly. If the AI slop merchants out there could take the time to do that, well, hey, that'd be just special, wouldn't it? Here we go.
Thank you, Becky Hobbs.
Man, what a man. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow, terrific. Terrific. And again, thank you all of you for coming. It's so great. And, you know, what Garland Nixon was saying about a third party and listening. I call them prostitutes, media whores that get paid to put out by the corporate pimps and government whoremasters. ABC, NBC, CBS. I used to be on everybody. I used to be on Oprah, The Today Show, Good Morning America, on and on and on. I got blacklisted when the Afghan war broke out. When USA Today was a big newspaper, they used to run my top trends all the time. And the top trends came out in late December. So in late December 2000, the headline was 2001 won't be our year, Trendseer says. And I warned that a wave of anti-Americanism was sweeping the globe and Americans wouldn't be safe at home or abroad. And then 9/11 happened. So they all had me back on, and then George Bush started talking about the Afghan war. And I said, listen, I said, we have no business getting into this war. I said, if Alexander the Great couldn't beat the Afghans, if the British at the height of the British Empire into the Valley of Death, Road to 600 couldn't beat them, if the Russians couldn't beat them and they're right next door, and we haven't won a war since World War II, we wouldn't have won that one without the Russians, what makes you think we'll win this one? Why, you anti-American? And I got blacklisted from everybody. So what Garland Nixon was saying about a new third party is so true, because we're losing our freedom of speech. This was when Trump was going to the UK to meet the King of England. And that's another BS word. Who made up this king crap? King. A bunch of murderous pieces of slime. Oh, the sun never sets on the British Empire. We kill people all over the world. Rob, pillaging, stealing. We're the royal family. You have to speak properly, Celente. And we get dressed up in our drag costumes. Kiss my ring. We don't peer poo. We're better than you. Who made up this king crap? Murderers around the world for centuries. Anyway, king. If they were Italian, they'd call them a mafia, just to make it clear. So anyway, Trump's on the way over there, and the Attorney General of the United States, Pam Bondi, she said that, quote, there's free speech and there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, after what happened to Charlie in our society, we will absolutely target you, go after you. If you are targeting anyone with hate speech. Hey, I hate war. Why, how dare you? Let's target Celente. I love war. I'm a political piece of crap. I'm a repulsive kid. Oh, no, I'm a Democrat. Just like Garland Nixon was saying, it's one party. A crime syndicate. Murderers and thieves, by their deeds you shall know them. Oh, remember when they bailed out the banks, the bandits? Not my language, according to the University Bard College, the Levy Institute. The Federal Reserve gave the banksters, after they stole all the money from the people with their Derivatives Act, hey, you don't got a job, you got no money, you want a subprime mortgage, sign here. $29 trillion. $29 trillion of our money went to the banksters while the regular people went broke. Hey, I'm Jamie Dimon. We only got convicted of 5 felonies. Oh, yeah, rigging the precious metals market back in 2019. Hey, Celente, we paid $90 million. Shut up. I don't go to jail. Murderers and thieves. What's your favorite war? Here. Narrative war. Pits Pentagon against press. This is on the 25th of this month. Imagine for a moment that the Department of Defense new demand for a pledge from Pentagon reporters, a commitment not to publish even unclassified information except when a press officer approves it. A press officer? A little low-life piece of crap? How about this? Carr plans to keep going after the media. The FCC chair has threatened local TV licenses over what he calls liberal bias in their broadcasts. Oh, you mean I only gotta believe the crap you believe in? Hey, shut up, Celente! Don't you know who I am? I'm the FCC chair. You're just a piece of crap. Oh, I write the Trends Journal. I only put facts in there. Oh, we're gonna go after you too. We need a new third party. A We the People's Party. We need a president of the United States that understands the Constitution, understands the Bill of Rights, and wants to give freedom back to we the people, and there is no one anywhere that I know in America that can give it back, freedom, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, than Judge Andrew Napolitano. My dear paisano, Napolitano, and I'm a Napolitano.
I did not write the introduction. Thank you, dear Gerald, my comrade in arms as we fight for freedom. What if the for Gerald. What if the Constitution is a fraud? What if the whole purpose of the Constitution is to limit the government, but in reality, it unleashes it? What if the President of the United States is supposed to be equal to the Congress, but instead he has become a democratically elected, term-limited monarch? What if the President assumes that everything he does is legal just because he's the president? What if he can interrupt your radio and television programming and your surfing on the web, your use of the internet whenever he wants without a warrant and at his whim? What if he can declare war on his own? What if he can read your emails and your texts without a search warrant? What if he can kill without a judicial order? What if Supreme Court justices interpreting the law and the Constitution don't care what the Constitution says? They only look at what their predecessors wrote. What if the rights and principles guaranteed in the Constitution have been so distorted in the past 250 years that they'd be unrecognized by the framers? What if our once revered Bill of Rights has become a bill of temporary privileges? What if the 50 states that are no longer sovereign entities equal to each other and are the parents of the federal government now are subservient to it? What if the Constitution was amended stealthily not by the states ratifying amendments, but by Congress continuing to increase its power and the president's power, and the courts have looked the other way? What if the federal government alone decided if its power was properly exercised? What if you need a license from the government to gather and speak and be critical of it? What if the government can deny you that license if it doesn't want what you're going to say? What if federal law prohibits troops in the streets for any purpose, but nobody follows the law anymore? What if the troops and the police wear such substantially similar garb that you can't tell the cops from the troops? What if some of them wear masks so you don't know who they are? What if you're no longer secure in your persons, your body, your house, your papers, or your effects because the courts have trampled the Fourth Amendment? What if federal agents can write their own search warrants and authorize themselves to search the records that you keep and that your banker, your doctor, and your lawyer have for you? What if masked federal agents can stop you in the street and demand to see your papers? What if you don't have any papers and they can arrest you for it? What if the government can decide whether or not you get a jury trial when it accuses you of your crime? What if the government can take your property from you against your will? What if the government could continue prosecuting you after you've been acquitted until it gets the conviction it wants? What if the government can torture you until you say what it wants to hear? What if people running for president openly support the government torturing? What if the government can torture your children in your presence until you say what it wants to hear? What if government judges and lawyers intimidate juries into convicting the innocent? What if the government could send you to your death even if you are actually innocent, so long as the government can claim it follows its own procedures? What if America's prison population, the largest in the world, is a cruel and unusual way to say we are the land of the free? What if half the prison population in America never harmed anybody but themselves? What if the people have no rights except those the government lets us exercise? What if the states have no powers except those the federal government permits them to have? What if the government could strip you of all of your rights because where the place where your mother was when you were born? What if the income tax is unconstitutional? What if the government tried to ban you from putting substances in your body that you voluntarily chose to use, even those substances which are older than the government itself? What if voting doesn't mean anything anymore because both parties stand for big government? What if we have only one uniparty with a Democratic wing and a Republican wing? What if wars rage and presidents kill and debt increases and regulations expand and liberty shrinks no matter which party controls the Congress or occupies the White House? What if the government can write any law and regulate any behavior and tax any event and the courts will let them do it? What if government doesn't create wealth, it seizes it? What if government doesn't build, it destroys? What if government transactions aren't voluntary, they're compulsory? What if everything the government says is a lie? What if everything the government has, it is stolen? What if government at its core is the negation of liberty? What if you can love your country but hate what the government has done to it? What if war doesn't bring peace, it brings destruction? What if spreading democracy abroad doesn't spread truth, it spreads violence? What if searching for monsters to slay abroad inevitably brings them home? What if American taxpayers have paid for every bullet that has entered the brain of every Palestinian baby that the IDF has slaughtered? What if a government that tolerates that should be altered or abolished? What if the government doesn't care so long as its financial backers are pleased? What if Jefferson was right? What if that government is best which governs least? What if I'm right? What if the government is wrong? What if it's dangerous to be right when the government is wrong? What if our greatest danger to American liberty is right now? I've been giving these talks for 40 or 45 years, and one of these days I will stop. And when I do and leave this vale of tears, I hope that I am in my own bed, in my own house, surrounded by those who love me, faithful to first principles. But not everyone, particularly the young people here, will have that luxury. Some of you, I guess I got to talk loud. Some of you will die faithful to first principles in a government prison. Is there security here? Get rid of these two. Just get them out. Get them out. Time to go. I've never done this before. In 45 years of public speaking, you have the freedom of speech. You'll get your turn. Some of you will not have the liberty of dying in your own bed. You will die faithful to first principles in a government prison. And some of you will die faithful to first principles in a government town square to the sound of trumpets blaring. When it comes time to make those awful choices, you'll know what to do. Because freedom lies in the human heart. And the human heart, as long as it's there, no government, no majority, no ideology is going to take it away. But the human heart is a muscle, and like all muscles, it needs to be exercised. So freedom must do more than just lie there. Thank you, and God love you.
You know what's funny? I was reminded of the story of a reporter who asked President Trump, "Mr. President, of all the lies you've told, which one is your favorite?" Trump paused for a moment, then said, "I don't lie." The reporter chuckled and replied, "Ha, yeah, that's my favorite one too."
The maggots who are going along with this, who mindlessly cheer Trump and everything he does, need to grow a brain and come up for air for just a moment. First, separate the two acts of illegal immigration and violence perpetrated by masked, unqualified, untrained, unvetted armed federal employees acting in the most illegal, unconstitutional, un-American way possible. Suppose for just a moment that the Democrats slither back into office. Let's say you have, I don't know, Gavin Newsom and J.B. Pritzker, or as I like to call him, the Prickster. One is Prez, the other is Veep. It's probably safe to say that once the rats take office again, and that does tend to happen from time to time, they're probably not going to be doing a whole lot in the way of deportations. So all these so-called ICE officers will be hammers looking for nails. I'm not sure I want the next Democrat administration having access to the thousands of shock troops Trump is hiring to go after conservatives for violating whatever policy the Democrats have dreamed up. Last time around it was elections, masks, and the Trump juice. The answer to illegal immigration is remarkably simple. Cut the welfare magnet. For everybody. Not just illegal aliens. Not just legal immigrants who, by the way, shouldn't be getting public benefits anyway, but eliminate welfare for citizens as well. Do away with it. Go back to churches offering charitable assistance to those truly in need. Most of the illegals will self-deport. That will leave us with the gangbangers, as well as the roofers, the landscapers, and the crop pickers. The efforts of trained professional, properly identifiable, uniformed, and constitutionally legitimate immigration officers can then focus their attention on the gangbangers. As far as the latter group, on my list of top 10 things to worry about, they don't even rate. With regard to sending the federalized National Guard, from other states no less, into the Democrat sheet holes, I'm sure the next Democrat president would never consider sending National Guard from California, or New York, or Illinois, or the Pacific Northwest into Florida or Texas, because those states are not enforcing some law to the satisfaction of Washington, D.C. No, it's not like Trump is setting a precedent at all. Precedent. Trump. Like the Patriot Act, like the 2020 coordinated disaster, I'm sure the next Democrat regime would never even think about using federal violence against us after we've cheered it being used against the people we don't like. That's never happened before in history, has it? By the way, have you seen Ilhan Omar get taken into ICE custody? No, you haven't. You'd think Trump could throw us a bone by forcibly abducting Justin Bieber and sending him on the next rendition flight to Toronto, or El Salvador or Sudan. And where are those Epstein files anyway? Some people could be forgiven for thinking this is all a massive distraction. If the good people of Portland or Chicago or Los Angeles or take your pick big Democrat city want to wallow in excrement, that's up to them. It's not a good choice. It's not a choice I would make. But down here in Florida, it's not my problem what goes on in another state. And it's sure not my responsibility to pay for it. When they've had enough, they'll make better voting choices. And the Portland police will go back to being the hard asses we all knew and loved back in cops, circa 1993. But it's their problem to fix, not ours.
Amanda, I would just add to what you just said that everything Trump is doing is taking us toward the World Economic Forum's Agenda 2030. Trump and his technocrat vice president, J.D. Vance, will leave office on January 20th, 2029. He is doing in his second term what he did in his first term. He is giving speeches. He is patting MAGA on the head and doing the exact opposite. MAGA hates the WEF. It hates Klaus Schwab. As it should. The problem is, there's been only one sitting president who has given speeches at Davos. And he's done it 3 times. 2 in person, the last one virtually. I'll give you 3 guesses who that president is. And your first 2 guesses are canceled.
Well, thank you very much, Klaus, and a very special congratulations on your 50th year hosting the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum, a truly amazing achievement. It's an honor to address the distinguished members of this organization for the second time as president.
Thank you for watching The Bad Civil Servant on YouTube and North American House Hippo on Rumble, the only channels where you don't have to like and subscribe if you don't want to.
Mr. President, I have ordered the immediate revocation of his green card. Smell you later.
Try our new nearly invisible solution risk-free. Call 1-800-MIRACLE now.